the polyblend is going to increase the water repelling property of bitumen and help to increase road life by a factor of 3. So irreparable computers and other electronic goods are known as electronic waste. An integrated organic farming is a cyclical zero waste procedure where waste products from one process are cycled in as nutrients for other products. Radiation from radioactive waste causes mutation at very high rate. Hello everyone, welcome back to session 5 of this chapter called Environmental Issues. Myself, B. Shobharani from the Department of Biology, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence. Hope all of you know that in the last session, we were discussing about the non-biodegradable substances. I think we were also discussing about how harmful it is to use plastic, because we know that plastic is a non-biodegradable substance. So that will not degrade and it will remain as such in the earth's soil. So now, particularly to overcome this menace of plastic, one person by name Ahmad Khan came out with a very important strategy to overcome this non-biodegradable substance called plastic. So now let us study about the case study of remedy for plastic waste by Ahmad Khan. He came across with a very important substance that was made out of plastic called polyblend. It is nothing but a fine powder of recycled, modified plastic, and it was developed by his company. So in this picture, you may wonder why this picture is put with a tar road being put, right? But that is what I want to say, that this polyblend is used for, it is used as a tar and it is put for the road. So polyblend is mixed with a substance called bitumen that is used to lay the roads. So this polyblend is used to lay the roads, just like how tar is used to lay the roads. See how efficiently he has come out with a strategy to overcome this plastic waste. So what is this case study of remedy for plastic waste? A person by name Ahmad Khan came across a substance called polyblend, which is made up of the recycled modified plastic, and it was developed by his company, and this polyblend is mixed with a chemical substance called bitumen that is used to lay the roads. You may wonder what is the purpose of putting this polyblend for laying the roads. You know, it has its own advantages. It increases the water repelling property of bitumen and help to increase the road life by a factor of 3 times. Imagine, I think nowadays you can come across our Indian roads where if at all if it rains, the next day we see a big hole in the road because of, so it is having the non-propelling property of water, and so it gets damaged. So the polyblend is going to increase the water repelling property of bitumen and help to increase road life by a factor of 3. So imagine how efficient this polyblend is in maintaining the roads. And the raw material used for polyblend is plastic film waste. So the raw material that is used for polyblend is plastic film waste. So you can imagine, like, though we are using a lot of plastic in our everyday life in one form or the other, but at the same time, Ahmad Khan has come out with a remedy for recycling this plastic waste in the form of a substance called polyblend, which is mixed along with a chemical substance called bitumen, which is used for laying of roads. So this is one advantage of the recycling of the plastic waste. Then how do we overcome the hospital waste? I think every day in everyday life, we come across this common hospital waste. Here you can see. And I think because of because of avoiding the infectious diseases, so the concept of using disposable syringe, disposable needle, and everything, like most of the things that are used for hospital purposes are disposable. So imagine huge amount of plastic is being collected by the hospital. So, and the very important thing here is how to overcome this hospital waste. As you know, it may also contain some microorganisms which are disease causing. So for everything there is a solution, but only thing is we need to follow those what you call it as the stringent actions, so that it can be eradicated, that is it can be overcome. So what is this hospital waste? Hospitals, as we know, generate hazardous waste. It may be even chemicals also. As you know, they use most of the chemicals. So hospitals generate hazardous waste that contain disinfectants and other harmful chemicals, and also pathogenic organisms. Imagine the hospital bandage waste that are used for cleaning the wound, or maybe for covering the wound. So even that is disposed, obviously it will contain what? Pathogenic organisms. And the use of incinerators is crucial to hospital waste. So by using incinerators, that is the best method to overcome this hospital waste. So imagine the amount of hospital waste, and nowadays I think we are using mask also because of this corona pandemic, and imagine everywhere they throw this mask, but as I said, it should be disposed in a proper manner to avoid infections. So how to overcome this hospital waste which is produced in large number in our everyday life? So hospitals generate, as you know, hazardous waste that contain disinfectants and other harmful chemicals, and also pathogenic organisms. So the best thing is use of incinerators to avoid this hospital waste, or to dispose this hospital waste. Next, another challenge is the electronic waste, or in otherwise we call it as e-waste. What is this electronic waste or e-waste? Here you can see the disposed electrical goods. May it be a computer, or may it be a keyboard, or it might be the used radio, or it might be the used TV. So all these unwanted waste electronic goods, we use the word called e-waste. Electronic e-waste stands for what? Electronic waste. It should be small e. E-waste, electronic waste. So the one which cannot be repaired, so ultimately they have to be disposed. And imagine in our everyday life, I think the gadgets play a very great role in the life of human being in the present scenario. And imagine the amount of gadgets, electronic gadgets that are used in everyday life has to be disposed in a proper manner. If not, they're going to prove a challenge for the environment, because and definitely they're going to cause what? Pollution, because they also contain what? Chemicals, right? So now let us understand about this electronic waste or e-waste. So irreparable computers and other electronic goods are known as electronic waste or e-waste. So irreparable computers and other electronic goods are known as electronic waste. Or even discarded electronic appliances such as mobile phones, computers, television, etc. is also called as e-waste. So what is e-waste? Irreparable computers and other electronic goods are known as electronic waste or e-waste. Or even discarded electronic appliances such as mobiles, mobile phones, computers, televisions, etc. is also called e-waste. So e-waste are buried in landfills, or we also use the word called incinerated. So the deeper ditches has to be made, and all that it is dumped so that it will not cause pollution to the soil. So in a deeper parts they are going to put all this. So that is called incinerator or landfills. So metals like, all the electronic goods or electronic gadgets contains metals like copper wire, you might have come across, iron, silicon, nickel, and gold are recovered during recycling process of e-waste. So even either you can bury them in landfills, or even you can recycle some of the useful parts that are used in making of this electronic goods. So metals like copper, iron, silicon, nickel, and even some amount of gold are recovered during recycling process of electronic waste. So that can also be used again and again. So manual recycling process exposes workers to toxic substances present in e-waste. So manual recycling is not advised, because when people handle them with their hands, and obviously they are nothing but chemicals, so they may prove as they are toxic, and they are going to harm the skin and also cause some diseases in human beings. So manual handling or manual recycling of this electronic waste is not advisable. So recycling is the only solution for the treatment of e-waste, other than putting them or burying them in the landfills. So recycling is the best method to overcome this electronic waste. So what is electronic waste or e-waste? Irreparable computers and other electronic goods are known as what? Electronic waste, or even discarded electronic appliances such as mobile phones, computers, televisions is called e-waste. So I think all of us know that even when we dispose the garbage, we need to dispose it in proper manner. So like biodegradable, non-degradable, and even e-waste. We have also come across in Mysuru where there was a drive where all the electronic or e-waste was collected at a time. So that was the best method to collect e-waste in particular, so that the people will start disposing only the electric goods at that point of collection. So that is also the best method to overcome this e-waste. So e-waste are either buried in landfills or incinerated. Metals like copper, iron, silicon, nickel, gold, etc. are recovered during recycling process of this e-waste. So, but as I said, manual recycling as you know, it exposes them to the toxic substances, so it may not be quite advisable, as it may prove that threat to the life of a human being. So best method is recycling it with machines is the solution for the treatment of e-waste. Agrochemicals and their effects. So here also you can see the person spraying pesticides. So use of inorganic, so even agrochemicals, fertilizers, chemical fertilizers are also proving a threat to the pollution, particularly pollution of the soil. I think we have come across in many places where like spraying of endosulfan, where it remains as biomass in the soil, and it may prove threat to the life of human being. So use of inorganic fertilizers and pesticides has increased manifold for enhancing crop production. As you know, nowadays in order to the very aim of a farmer is to grow more crop or to grow more yield. So with that concept in mind, he'll start using inorganic fertilizers and pesticides so that his crop will be safe from the pests. But this has become like a common phenomenon by the farmers. But as we know, we are going back to the use of organic manure or organic farming to overcome this chemical fertilizers, which may retain in the crop that is developed, and when we have that food, then definitely it is going to affect our health. So pesticides, may it be pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, are being increasingly used. So as the pests increase, as the fungal infection increases, and even the unwanted plant, if they want to remove herbicides, so all this is like it has become a common phenomenon which is applied by many farmers, many growers. So imagine, so this has been increased to many fold. So use of pesticides, may it be a use of herbicides, fungicides, which kills fungus, all these are being used in everyday life to many times. So these are, as we know, they are toxic and non-target organisms that are important components of the soil. These are toxic to non-target organisms that are important to components of the soil ecosystem. So definitely, continuous use of these agrochemicals may prove threat to the human mankind. So increasing amounts of artificial fertilizers cause eutrophication. What is eutrophication? It is an enrichment of the nutrient. It is nutrient enrichment. So which may lead to what? Eutrophication. It might be natural eutrophication, or it might be particularly particularly for artificial eutrophication. So what is agrochemicals and their effects? See, continuously spraying of these pesticides is going to affect the health of human beings. So because we are going to, as you know, we depend upon the food grains for our food, and obviously, so use of such food grains where it is grown by using inorganic fertilizers, chemical fertilizers that are grown by that are used for growing that particular crop. So use of inorganic fertilizers and pesticides has increased manifold for enhancing crop production. So pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc. are being increasingly used. These are toxic to non-target organisms that are important components of the soil ecosystem. So increasing amounts of artificial fertilizers causes what? Eutrophication. Then case study of organic farming by Ramesh Chandra Dagar of Sonipat. Just like how we studied about the case study of Ahmad Khan for disposing the plastic waste, so similarly, a case study of organic farming by Ramesh Chandra Dagar of Sonipat. I think because we are going back to the good old method of farming, like using of organic manure. I think, nowadays it has become a trend to use food grains or vegetables or fruits that are grown through organic farming. Why people are becoming so aware about use of the products that are grown through organic farming? Because we know the after effects of using such food items which are grown through fertilizers. So we are going back to the good old methods of the crops that are developed through organic farming. So one such person was Ramesh Chandra Dagar. So integrated organic farming is a cyclical zero waste procedure where waste products from one process are cycled in as nutrients for other processes. See how useful it is. So it is what? It is an integrated organic farming is a cyclical zero waste procedure where waste products from one process are cycled in as nutrients for other process. Like for example, the vegetable waste, the kitchen waste, the vegetable peel, the fruit peels can be used as what? Fertilizers. So it is not going to affect the crop or even the plant. So maximum utilization of resource and increasing the efficiency of production. So it increases what? Obviously it increases the efficiency as well as the production. So he included beekeeping. So Ramesh Chandra Dagar of Sonipat started going for this integrated organic farming and also beekeeping, as apiculture, which has become like the products of the bee apiculture, mainly the honey and the wax, is having lot of economic demand, and that demand has raised to the increasing in going for apiculture. So many people have gone for this occupation of rearing of the honey bees because of its honey, and as you know, honey is used in wide applications, and even the wax that is produced is used for making cosmetics as well as for polishes. So beekeeping and even dairy management, as we know, dairy management, maintaining the livestock, particularly the cattle, for their milk and for the milk products, and also the cattle are reared for the draught purpose. So dairy farm management also has become one of the occupation of many people, particularly in India. So Ramesh Chandra Dagar, he came across this beekeeping, then dairy management, water harvesting. Instead of wasting the rainwater, rainwater harvesting is very, very important. So we should not allow the water to just go off to the gutter. So rainwater harvesting, which can be used again and again for the crop cultivation, is a very, very good idea. So many people, I think nowadays, many people build houses with first very important aim of going for rainwater harvesting. And composting and agriculture in a chain of process. Composting, vermicomposting. So whatever waste, kitchen waste or the vegetable waste, organic waste that is dumped in one places where the earthworms are introduced, and the organic compost is used for growing the crops or even the plants, which support each other and allow an extremely economical and substantial venture. So all these are the methods which he applied to come out with organic farming. So along with organic farming, he came across the beekeeping, dairy management, water harvesting, composting, and agriculture in a chain of processes which support each other and allow an extremely economical and sustainable venture. Advantages. What are the advantages then? There is no need to use chemical fertilizers. fertilizers for crops. Obviously, when we are going for organic farming, where is the need for using the chemical fertilizer? So you can avoid organic and inorganic chemicals that is going to affect the crop as well as the health of human beings. So there is no need to use chemicals. Then cattle excreta are used as manure. I think this is a very old concept. This is not the concept which has been implemented right now. So it is a good old concept. So I think if you just happen to go to the villages, you can see people will dump the manure, the cow dung at one particular place, and also the leftover food that is given to the cattle is also dumped in that particular place where the decomposition process will take place, and the same cattle dung is used as a manure. I think this is a very good old method. I think we are going back to the good old methods, like old is gold. And I think particularly at this point of time where we are all facing this coronavirus pandemic, we are going for the good old traditions of maintenance of hygienic conditions. Like when you enter the house, in those days people used to wash their hands, legs, and then get into the house. So it is one form of avoiding infections. So we are going back to the good old method now. I think after knowing how important those old traditions are, I think we are just moved on to the following the same old traditions, so which we feel that it is the best method to avoid getting infected with contagious and very harmful diseases like right now the coronavirus. So crop waste used to create compost. As I said, crop waste, it might be even the cattle food, the fodder that is left over fodder, or even the crop waste, everything is dumped in one particular place and it is made as a compost. So which can be used as a natural fertilizer or can be used to generate natural gas for energy need. I think just like gobar gas, cow dung has a lot of value. I know the methanogens which release methane can be used as gobar gas, which can be used for electricity, even for cooking purposes. So imagine how useful this cattle dung is, and we just look at the cattle dung as something which is very dirty, but imagine the advantages of this cattle dung, which can be used as a manure, which can also be used as a natural gas like gobar gas, which can there are many houses which till today in rural areas which are lit by the electricity that is generated through gobar gas. And even the cooking part is being done by using the gobar gas, not our normal what gas we use, LPG gas in our house. So all these are the very good advantages of organic farming. So there is no need to use chemical fertilizers for crops. Cattle excreta are used as manure. Then crop waste used to create compost, which can be used as a natural fertilizer or can be used to generate natural gas for energy need. Then another very challenging waste is the radioactive waste. So the thermal plants which even release which generate electricity, and even the nuclear reactors which will come out with the radioactive waste. So very, very important is how do we dispose this radioactive waste, which is definitely going to prove threat to the human life. So you can see come across this radioactive materials. So let us understand what are the methods that can be implemented to overcome this radioactive waste. Just like how we came across how to overcome the hospital waste, the e-waste, and how we have gone back to the organic farming, then the dairy management, all those methodologies have been implemented to overcome the waste that are produced in our everyday life. So how are these radioactive waste also overcome? So as we know that nuclear energy was hailed as a non-polluting way for generating electricity. Later on, it was realized that it was two very serious inherent problems. So in the beginning, we felt that generating electricity, all those was not that much threat in those days. But nowadays, in the present scenario, we feel that the thermal plants and even the nuclear energy generating stations are proving a threat to human life by producing the radioactive waste, or you can also call it as nuclear waste. So actually, for example, recently we have come across in Hyderabad, there was a leakage, gas leakage, and where many people died. So imagine if there is an accidental leakage as occurred in 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, like how so this is a very, very important example we can take for. So the accidental leakage of gas that was occurred in 3 Mile Island and even the Chernobyl incident. So safe disposal of radioactive waste is very, very important. So how do we dispose this radioactive waste? It cannot be done in a normal manner like how we do for the other waste, but there are certain methodologies which need to be implemented to overcome this radioactive waste, and proper methodologies have to be implemented to overcome this radioactive waste. Like for example, as we know, radiation from radioactive waste causes mutation at very high rate. So obviously the dreadful radiations that are going to come out from the radioactive waste is going to cause mutation, and definitely at a very high rate, which is going to affect the human genetic system. Then high dose we can say, high dose of nuclear radiation is lethal, but lower dose create genetic disorders and also cause cancer. I think all of us know cancer is one such disease where, for example, like people working in radioactive departments or X-ray departments. So imagine when their body is continuously exposed to such dreadful UV rays, then definitely they will have diseases like skin cancer, right, lung cancer also. If they start inhaling, particularly they'll have skin cancer. And people working in asbestos factory, cement factory, so what will happen? The dust particles, they get lung cancer. So occupational exposure is also one form of threat to human life. So in everyday life, so it is their job, it is their job, and it is their need to earn their daily bread, and they cannot avoid doing that job. In that case, definitely I think they will be prone to certain dreadful diseases like cancer. Like people working in X-ray departments, they need to wear a shield like structure so that they can overcome the harmful rays, but maybe for a day or two they will use, and the next third day they'll just remove that and they'll start exposing, like they start doing the duty without wearing a shield like structure. So that may cause you can call it as a harmful disease like cancer. So high dose of nuclear radiation is lethal, but lower dose create genetic disorders and also cause cancer. So radioactive waste, so nuclear energy was hailed as a non-polluting way for generating electricity. Later on, it was realized that it was too very serious inherent problem, and accidental leakages occurred in 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. Then safe disposal of radioactive waste. Radiation from radioactive waste causes mutation at very high rate. Then high dose of nuclear radiation is lethal, but lower dose create what? Genetic disorders and also cause cancer. Hope you have understood all the concepts what I have explained in today's session about the disposal of hospital waste and even the e-waste and also the radioactive waste. So in the coming session, I'll be continuing the remaining concepts of this radioactive waste as well as the effects of global warming. So I'll be back with some more interesting concepts of this very important chapter. Till then, goodbye and thank you.